appreciate you all taking the time to come out and recognize Morgan this afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. The Master of Ceremonies today will be Nolan Hartley. Nolan, go ahead.
Would everyone please stand for the presentation of the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance. Color Guard, attention. Color Guard, advance. Color Guard, post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color Guard dismissed. You may be seated.
Scouters and friends of scouting, I would like to welcome you to this Eagle Court of Honor. It is an occasion for pride and joy, as well as a time for serious reflection. The Eagle is the highest recognition that scouting offers to scouts. It is earned only through the advancement program, and only a small percentage of boys who begin in scouting receive this honor. The wearer of the Eagle Award is the epitome of scouting's best efforts and beliefs. Today, we have the pleasure of seeing Morgan Bryant reach the pinnacle of his scouting efforts when he joins the Brotherhood of Eagle Scouts. Before we begin, Mr. Ryan King will deliver the invocation.
If you will bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you in humble thankfulness and all your great ways and your love and your mercy. And we come together and gather as we recognize Morgan and his achievements and the earning of Eagle Scout. And Lord, we're just thankful for the opportunity to reflect on all of this, and we thank you for the guidance and steadfastness that you have provided Morgan and his family. And Lord, we pray that you just bless our time together. May it be a time of joyous celebration and honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
The presentation of the Eagle Scout Award is an important and serious matter. For the Eagle candidate, this is the culmination of his scouting efforts. The attainment of this award is made possible through the assistance of those with the candidate tonight: his scoutmaster, troop leaders, fellow scouts, parents, family, friends, and members of the community. Morgan Bryant has distinguished himself through his continued performance of active service in scouting. He is trained and skillful in his leadership abilities. The character gained through an understanding of his citizenship and religious beliefs marks him as a solid candidate for this prestigious rank in scouting. It is important that each of us understands the meaning of the Eagle Badge.
The appeal of the majestic eagle has been felt by every great people from prehistoric times to present day. To the Egyptians, the eagle was a messenger of the gods and the sun, a symbol of eternal life. To the Romans, he was a carrier of Jupiter's thunderbolts and a sign of power. To American Indians, he stood for the incentive of valor and the pledge of victory. For us today, the eagle is a living symbol of all courageous and freedom-aspiring Americans. When the Eagle Scout badge was designed in 1912, it was decided that a small silver eagle would be suspended on a tricolor ribbon of red, white, and blue. So it remains today. The foremost responsibility of an Eagle Scout is to live with honor. To the Eagle Scout, honor is the foundation of all character. He knows that a scout is trustworthy is the very first point of the Scout Law for a good reason. An Eagle Scout lives honorably, not only because honor is important to him, but because of the vital significance of the example he sets for other Scouts. Living honorably reflects credit on his home, his church, his troop, and his community. May the white of the Eagle Badge remind you to always live with honor.
The second obligation of the Eagle Scout is loyalty. A Scout is true to his family, Scout leaders, friends, school, and nation. His loyalty to his troop and brother Scouts make him pitch and carry his share of the load. All of these things help to build the Eagle Scout's loyalty, which in turn translates in devotion to his community, and to country, to one's own ideals and to God. Let the blue of the Eagle Badge always inspire your loyalty.
The third obligation of an Eagle Scout is to be courageous. Courage has always been a quality by which men measure themselves and others. To a Scout, bravery means not only the courage to face physical danger, but the determination to stand up for what is right. Trusting in God with faith in his fellow man, he looks forward to each day, seeking his share of the world's work to do. Let the red of the Eagle Badge remind you always of courage.
The fourth obligation of an Eagle Scout is to be cheerful. To remind the Eagle Scout to always wear a smile, the red, white, and blue ribbon is attached to the score of the second-class Scout Award, which has its ends turned up in a smile.
The final responsibility of the Eagle Scout is service. The Eagle Scout extends a helping hand to those who still toil up the scouting trail, just as others helped him to climb to Eagle. The performance of the daily good turn takes on a... The performance of the daily good turn takes on a new meaning when he enters a more adult life of continuing service to others. The Eagle stands as a protector of the weak and helpless. He aids and comforts the unfortunate and the oppressed. He upholds the rights of others who will defend his own. He will always be prepared to put forth his best.
You are deserving of much credit in having achieved Scouting's highest honor. However, wear your award with humility. Ever mindful that the Eagle Scout is looked up to as an example, may the Scout oath and law be your guide from tomorrow and onward.
I would now like to introduce Mr. Ryan King, uncle of Morgan Bryant and fellow Eagle Scout. Mr. King began his scouting journey in 1986 as a Tiger Cub, progressing through the ranks of Cub Scouts and ultimately earning his Eagle Scout on October 16, 1996. Ryan is a member of the Order of the Arrow and earned all three of his Eagle Palms. The Boy Scouts of America structure, leadership opportunities, and accomplishment of earning Eagle Scout afforded to Mr. King paved the way for his future as he joined the ranks of the United States Army, serving on active duty from 1998 to 2015. He subsequently transitioned his skill set to seek new opportunities as a citizen soldier in the United States Army Reserves and civilian sector. Mr. King's active duty service includes 2 tours to Iraq and 3 tours to Korea. His other duty stations include Fort Hood, Texas, Joint Base Lewis McChord, and Fort Bragg. Ryan currently serves out of Fort Belvoir, Virginia, with the 1st Information Operations Battalion in the Army Reserves. Ryan continues the scouting tradition of serving the community by being an active member in helping the Wounded Warrior Program, Bull Vet Veterans Program, the Shepherd Youth Ranch, and Ocean Cure, which aid those with disabilities. Please welcome Mr. King to the stage.
Sorry for that. Well, thank you first of all for inviting me here. As you know, being family and all, it's always an honor to come down and see the family. But no, it is an honor and privilege to come here today and being with everyone as we pay homage to the long-standing history and traditions of scouting, especially on this occasion where we witnessed the awarding of the Eagle Scout rank to Morgan Bryant. So, before we get into all the details of the Eagle Scout, and we already heard responsibilities of Eagle, a little bit about Morgan. for anybody who's known him for more than a day, you kind of get the sense that he's a little bit of an overachiever. You know, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, especially when you're going for Eagle. But in his short life, he was born in November 2002, Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland. He's lived there, Charleston, South Carolina, Winchester, Tennessee, and Brunswick, Georgia. So basically, he's lived in about as many places as I've been stationed in my military service. Pretty good accomplishment for being so young. He's a very high active achieving scholar. He's been awarded the Presidential Excellence Award twice. He's a member of the National Junior Honor Society, inducted in the 7th grade, and also a member of the National Beta Honor Society, inducted in 9th grade, and to present. He's a member of the Fearless Marching Pirate Band. He works at the Technical Theater for Brunswick High School drama team, and also here at the Historical Ritz Theater, and plans to continue to pursue this path to work and support the Theater for St. Simon's Little Island Players. He's always been one for drama, so yeah, that just suits him very well. He also, at his chapel, helps out with the Children's Treehouse Ministries. In addition to being scholarly and spiritual, he's participated in more than 120 hours of community service, various programs such as Feeding the Homeless. He's volunteered as student role player for the GREAT program. There's a recommendation letter. And he's assisted in training with local state board of education administrator training for school active shooter scenarios this past year. Given the fact that his dad works at FLETC, there's no surprise there. Following in his father's footsteps. He's also supported the honor flight for the veterans for the past 4 years, either through his participation or through his honor societies and playing the marching band to welcome home the veterans. So, Morgan's scouting career started when he was just a twinkle of an eye as a Tiger Cub in 2009 in Winchester, Tennessee. And he was actively involved in his scouting, starting with the homeless food drives and every year decorating the Veterans Memorial Day cemetery for the Franklin County Memorial Day celebration. Morgan continued in through scouting, and he was awarded his Arrow of Light through the Coastal Georgia Council after relocating here to Brunswick, Georgia in 2012. He's also a member of the Order of the Arrow, and as you all know, today we're here to honor his accomplishment for Eagle. Okay, so enough about you. All right, so they say it takes a village to raise a child, and Morgan has been very blessed and been part of some very phenomenal villages, including this one here in Brunswick, Georgia. And I mean, quite frankly, one can only imagine how he would have turned out without your assistance and guidance and support. So, thank you all very much. I'm sure his mother and father greatly appreciated all the support that you give him, because we know he needs it, right? Otherwise, I don't know, we might be here for some millennial support therapy group instead of awarding the Eagle Scout. So, thank you all for that. Give yourselves a round of applause if you so desire. Here. Sorry about that. I had a really great speech written, paper format and everything. The script came out, kind of was a little bit redundant, so I had to make some few changes in notes here. So please bear with me. All right. So, Morgan. Coming to the point of earning your Eagle Scout, it's not only just a reflection of your accomplishments and your active role in the community, but it's also a testament to the teamwork that has supported you. Teamwork like your fellow scouts. Those older scouts who made Eagle before you and were helping you come up along the way. Your scout leaders, your mother and father, your family, and your mentors. So remember that as you go forth, with this new rank of Eagle Scout, it's now your turn to step up to leadership plate. It's now your turn to be a leader to those young boys coming up behind you and help them through the ranks, help them with their merit badges, help them along their way and their journey. Because remember, somebody helped you along yours. An Eagle never goes it alone. Despite the fact that we are such a small percentage of Scouts who actually make it to Eagle, what we make up with small numbers, we make up in our efforts, in our discipline, and our fortitude. So as I was kind of doing some research, trying to find some nice, fluffy, eloquent words to say, hopefully something of meaning that you can take with you, I came across a popular poem, and many of you probably know this one, by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. But I'm not going to sit here and bore you with reading the whole thing. But I will point out just one specific instance. The part where it comes to, and the stanza goes, way leads to way. So the thing about this poem is many often consider this poem to be all about people taking the road less traveled, as it indicates later in the poem. And they usually use that at times of commencement speeches for graduations and other great accomplishments, challenging the individuals to take the path that everybody else is not willing to take. While this is true, you're unable to do that without making all those little choices as you go along your way. One path will need to lead to another. As you've probably already found out in your young life, that you've always come across intersections that affect your life greatly, and choices. And each of those choices have consequences. Some are good, some are not so good, and some are spectacular. Clearly, we can see that you've made some good choices along your ways as we sit here and watch this phenomenal ceremony to honor you and your accomplishments. So I tried to get a little surprise and get a really good special guest speaker. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, so you're left with me, right? However, I was able, excuse me, I was able to get this nicely written, much more eloquent letter to Morgan. But I want you to know that this is an open-ended letter that is addressed to all Eagle Scouts. And it's from an Eagle Scout. You may know him, Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs. He attends a lot of big scouting events and national jamborees, and he's always speaking to Scouts. So I want to read this letter from him to you. Dear Morgan, back in 1977, I got a letter from the President of the United States congratulating me on becoming an Eagle Scout. The letter was printed on thick, creamy paper with my name typed in the top and Gerald Ford's signature at the bottom, right next to the presidential seal. Very impressive. However, as I studied the president's signature and compared it with those on the bottom of identical letters he has sent to other Eagle Scouts and other troops, I came to the conclusion that I was not holding a personal letter from the President of the United States. I was holding a foreign letter. Now, don't get me wrong, Morgan. It was a nice gesture. I appreciate the sentiment, but I decided then and there that if I ever found myself in position of sending out thousands of letters to Eagle Scouts everywhere, I wouldn't try to fool the recipient into thinking they had received something uniquely personal. After all, Morgan, a Scout is trustworthy. Whether he goes on to become the President of the United States or a host of a show on cable television, which is why I want to be absolutely clear about the nature of this letter. While I did in fact write every word, I did not write it specifically for you. The truth is, Morgan, it was Uncle Ryan who wrote your name in the blanks, and it was Uncle Ryan who is deeply proud of what you've accomplished on this day. As he should be. The Eagle Award is a big deal, and congratulations are most definitely in order. However, the only message I can offer a young man I've never actually met is the same advice I received from my dad moments after I received this same honor. Don't get cocky. Contrary to what many have told you, Morgan, this award will not change the way people look at you. I'm sorry, but it's true. We now live in a world where everyone seems to get some sort of trophy, and the majority of Americans simply have no idea how difficult or special your accomplishment truly is. But that's not a fact worth bemoaning, because the truth is, the Eagle Award comes with no magic power or influence. It's simply a recognition of what you've accomplished so far. And while it's true that many Eagle Scouts have gone on to do great things in life, it's also true that many others have not. I know a guy who got his Eagle a couple years before me. His chest literally puffed up and never returned to its normal size. His dad got him into a decent school, and when he finally graduated, he showed off his diploma like it was his first merit badge. Today, he is miserable, pompous, pain in the butt with no friends, 2 ex-wives, and a copy of that same form letter from Gerald Ford congratulating him for something he did 35 years ago. Do me a favor, Morgan. Don't be that guy. Don't wait for the world to acknowledge your accomplishments. When you're finished with scouting, donate your uniform to the Salvation Army, and in a few years, it's not going to fit anyway. Fold up your stash and stow it away somewhere private along with your other tokens of what you've done so far, and then roll up your sleeves, get out in the world, and put what you've learned to use. Live the Scout law, remember the Scout oath, and remember, a Scout is clean, but not afraid to get dirty. P.S. The signature, though photocopied, really is mine. Mike wrote. And that is why I chose Robert Frost's poem. Because as Mike alluded into here, way does lead to way. It's all about choices and the contributions that you will now continue to make in society and as a citizen.
Assistant Scout Executive for the Coastal Georgia Council, will now convene the National Court of Honor.
Thank you. That was so good, wasn't it? I love Mike Rowe, and I love what he stands for, and that is so apropos to an Eagle ceremony. It's always a privilege and an honor to be a part of these. I have 5 brothers, and none of them made Eagle. And they had a lot of ifs and buts. Well, if this had happened, but this happened, and this is why I didn't get my Eagle. My dad used to tell them if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, it'd be Christmas every day. And so you worked hard to earn this, and this is exciting, and this is a wonderful day of celebration for you. So thank you for letting me be a part of this as well. Okay, so I get to start this off. By the authority vested in me as the representative of the Coastal Georgia Council and the National Council of the Boy Scouts of America, I declare this Court of Honor to be convened.
The Scouting movement constitutes one of the most wholesome and significant influence in the world today. Many successful, well-known persons are Eagle Scouts. A former president of the United States, a film director whose films have won worldwide acclaim, most of the original astronauts, and several outstanding sports personalities. The Eagle candidate, whose efforts culminate this afternoon in the presentation of the Eagle Badge, has labored long to enter this brotherhood. He will assume even greater responsibilities to the ideals of honor and service. When he pledges himself on his sacred honor, He will be sealing his loyalty to the code of the Eagle Scout with the words which close the Declaration of Independence. Morgan, please come forward. We will now continue with the reaffirmation of Morgan to the Scout Oath principles. I ask Ms. Susie Curtis to please come forward.
All along the trail of achievement, your Scoutmaster, Mr. Ben Weston, has given you advice and encouragement. I call upon Mr. Weston to vouch for you tonight. Sir, before presenting your Scout the Eagle Award, we would like to have your assurance that Morgan has been faithful in serving his troop, in giving leadership to its Scouts, in practicing the principles of the Scout Oath and Law, and in practicing the good turn in his daily life. Based upon these qualifications, is your Scout entitled to the honor, the Eagle Badge, for which it represents?
Eagle candidate Morgan Bryant, what promise did you take when you became a tenderfoot Scout?
The Scout Oath, sir.
Is there any reason why you should not renew that promise now?
There is not, sir.
Then I ask you now to give the Scout Oath as you rededicate yourself to its principles.
On my honor, I will do my duty to guide my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, and keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
Morgan, you have just recommitted yourself to the principles of the Scout Oath. You now have a new, more intense obligation to your church, your community, and your troop. The knowledge you have gained in all areas of scouting will better enable you to be prepared for the future and its challenges. The Scout motto, "Be Prepared," now takes on even more special meaning. Before the Eagle Award is bestowed upon you, I am going to ask your father and mother to please stand. Eagle candidate Morgan, your father and mother have undoubtedly been a primary source of help in your Scout work. They will help you carry the standards of your award to the highest peak of attainment, since the very best is expected of an Eagle Scout in exemplary conduct, character, achievement, and leadership ability. I'm going to ask your parents, who have stood by you so loyally, to pledge their willingness to continue to help you. Mr. and Mrs. Bryant, do you agree to continue to help Morgan so that he may grow in character and the leadership qualities that an Eagle Scout should have? Eagle candidate Morgan Bryant, it is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Vic Zuby. Mr. Zuby served 22 years in the United States Air Force and is a fellow Eagle Scout. Mr. Zuby has continued through his life demonstrating all the core values of the Scout Law. He now serves as an instructor at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, teaching and inspiring new law enforcement officers to embrace the same core values. Mr. Vic Zuby, please come to the stage to deliver the Eagle Charge.
Scouts of all nations make up one of the most wholesome and significant movements in the world's history. Morgan, you've been judged by the Boy Scouts of America as being worthy of this honor. All who know you rejoice in your achievement. Now, this award, as you will know, is one of honor and responsibility. You're a marked man. As an Eagle Scout, you have assumed a solemn obligation to do your duty to God, to country, to your fellow Scouts, and to mankind in general. And this is a great undertaking. As you live up to your obligations, you bring honor to yourself and to your brother Scouts. As we've heard, America has many good things to give you and your children after you. These good things depend for the most part on the quality of our citizens. Our country has a great past, and you can help make the future even better. I charge you to undertake your citizenship with a solemn dedication. Be a leader, but lead only toward the best. Lift up every task you do and every office you hold to the highest level of service to God and to your fellow man. To live and serve that those who know you will be inspired to find a living. I charge you to be among those who dedicate their hearts, hands, skills, and abilities to the common good. Help to build America's future by continuing to set an example of clean living, honest work, unselfish citizenship, and reverence for God, despite what others may do around you. You will leave behind a record of which you must be justly proud. Eagle candidate Morgan, I charge you to enter this Eagle Scout Brotherhood, holding without reservation and ever before you the ideals of honor and service. By citing the Eagle Scout promise before your fellow members, you will become an Eagle Scout. When you pledge yourself on your sacred honor, you will be sealing your eternal loyalty to the code of the Eagle Scout with the same words which close the Declaration of Independence. At this time, will all Eagle Scouts here tonight please stand and renew your Eagle Scout promise as Morgan joins our brotherhood. Scout sign. I reaffirm my allegiance to the three promises of the Scout Oath. I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself the obligations and responsibilities of an Eagle Scout. On my honor, I will do my best to make my training an example, and my status and my influence count strongly for better scouting and for better citizenship in my troop, in my community, and in the contacts with other people. To this I pledge my sacred honor. Thank you, fellow Eagles. Please have a seat. Morgan, your conduct along the trail has been excellent. You've rededicated yourself to the principles of scouting. But one more thing is important: your future. As an Eagle Scout, you become a guide to other Scouts. You become an example in your community. And remember that your actions now are a little more conspicuous, and people will expect more of you. To falter in your responsibility would reflect not only on you, but your fellow Eagles and all of Scouting. The torch you carry is not only yours, but it is also ours. Thank you.
Will Scoutmaster Ben Weston please come forward to present the Eagle Scout candidate Morgan Bryant with the Eagle Scout Award.
Life Scout Morgan Bryant, we are finally at that point you've been waiting for. Having confirmed all readiness for the reception of this award, it is now time to formally present you with this high badge of accomplishment. By the authority vested in me by the National Court of Honor of the Boy Scouts of America, it is my privilege and pleasure to announce that you are an Eagle Scout. May the oath you've taken always remain with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Glad you're all here to join me on this occasion. Now, to begin with, scouting has always been a part of my life, and I've learned a great deal from it, starting from making fires with gum wrappers and batteries to tying knots for different needs, and even how to treat myself medically in case I get injured, to helping fellow scouts and people in case they need medical treatment. Now, I don't use these skills every day, but it's very important that I have them in case the need arrives. For example, in my 9th grade literature class, currently we're reading Lord of the Flies by William Golding. And if you're not familiar with Lord of the Flies, it's about this plane that crashed over an island, and there's several boys that are now stranded there and don't know what to do. So they think they need a government, they got a chief and all that, but they really don't know how to survive. They try to make a fire, but they don't know how, except one person has some glasses, so they use that. Because someone was paying attention in class, maybe. I don't know. But I'm glad that I have these skills that in case I do ever end up in that situation, I can help other people and help survive, I guess, until rescue comes. Which brings me to my next point here. The idea of being able to help yourself, but not only just yourself, but those around you, is the core foundation of the Boy Scouts of America. And the scouting career, I've done that. And I'm going to continue doing that throughout my life as I progress. Now, I struggled a lot coming up to this rank. There were several times when I wanted to put everything down, walk away, and quit. Because I didn't think it meant, or it didn't mean anything important to me. It was just another thing I went to every Monday. I got to hang out with my friends and play around. But I kept going along with it. Now, if I had quit those several times, that would have been the worst mistake I had ever made. Because now I'm here and I see what I've done, and it means so much to me and those around me that I can't believe I ever thought about quitting to begin with. Now, I haven't completed this journey on my own, especially when I was struggling with the idea of continuing on. My uncle, Mr. Bryant King, he kept me going, my dad kept me going, and my other family, my grandpas, and my friends, they didn't want to see me give up. You can see my dad pointing over here. Mom, as well, has been there for me, I suppose. I guess she's been here too. Now, it's not just those I've named, it's my entire family and the friends of my parents, friends of me, friends of mine. You know what I mean. Well, my parents, they have already been there, and they've gotten me through a lot of it. Setting up this event, we've been working nonstop. It's been very stressful, and there have been times I wanted to walk away, but didn't. I stayed with them, and we got through it. As you know, it's a family coming into town, ceremonies, always a stressful occasion. It's fun times. So, I guess I'll be in their debt until I can find a way to pay them back for putting up with me, putting on the ceremony, and being there for me as a scout. Now, there's one person I have not mentioned, and I've only known him since moving to Georgia, and he served as a friend and a teacher towards scouting and life in general. He's very generous and is always trying to support the community. And Mr. Andrew, remember, I am talking about you wherever you are, not in the school. There you are. Would you want to come up here and join me for a second? So welcome, Andy. Now, as he's coming up here, I'll tell you a little bit about Mr. Andy. You can keep coming. They're going to stay there.
Well, how long are you talking about with that?
Yeah, it's going slow. Now, Mr. Andy here is retired from the United States State Park Police, and he's continued his service by becoming a senior instructor at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. He subsequently retired from his duty at FLETC, but continues to serve his community by volunteering through national, state, and local organizations. He is a true inspiration to many, and a friend that is always providing a helping hand to all that needs it. In fact, he was kind enough to allow me and my father to borrow his trailer for the work on my Eagle Scout project and various other schools. But that's not always done for me. Every time that I've seen him at Toucans or I've gone to his house to get a trailer, he's always told me stories about how he's gotten to his rank, and he kept asking me, he kept pushing me to get my requirements done to be at this ceremony to reach Eagle Scout. He really did keep going. He's relentless, to tell you. Especially when I was struggling to continue. I was like, hey man, I'm struggling here. I don't really want to do this, but he kept telling me to go on. Thank you for that. One of the most memorable stories he told me was the time when he said his mother and his 3 brothers, his mother didn't want him and his 3 brothers to be scouts at all. Now, he did join the scouts, and he grew through the ranks to be an Eagle Scout with all 3 palms, as well as join the Order of the Arrow and achieve the rank of Vision. He's dedicated his life to scouting, as he was a volunteer ranger at Philmont Ranch, and in the end, all 3 of her boys had reached Eagle Scout, and she wore 3 Eagle pins. Now this story, it stuck with me, and it's will continually stick with me every time I think about my scouting career and what I've done. And he'd always finish, before I left, saying, once an Eagle, always an Eagle. Now, Mr. Andrew, since you're up here, I suppose, I would like to present you the Scout Victor.
So with this pin, I am saying this guy has already been there for me. He's been a great mentor and has kept me going with Scout. So, thank you. All right. Stick me with the money. All the words that
Okay. Now, in recognition of Morgan's parents, I would like to invite Mr. and Mrs. Bryant to the stage. I would like to congratulate the both of you on the advice and guidance you provided to Morgan. No one will ever know the unnumbered acts of self-sacrifice and helpfulness from each of you, which have led us to this afternoon. As the symbol of what you and Morgan's parents have made possible, the court will now ask this eagle to present the 2 of you with a mother and a father's pin.
Ladies first, please.
Okay, may I congratulate you again, and may I remind you that scouting should now become an even greater tie between the son and parents, binding you even more closely as a family. To you, Eagle Scout Morgan Bryant, I express confidence that you will honor scouting with your life and service as today's scouting honors you. That God may bless you and make you a blessing is our prayer. Okay. No one?
It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Steve Henson, Eagle Scout 1977, Marshals of Glen Sons of the American Revolution, and Brunswick American Legion Post 9.
First, I'd like to say to the veterans out there, thank you for your service. And essentially today was the day that both the executive officers of both organizations have had other obligations they need to attend to, so I get to do two of them, which is great because I start with the Sons of the American Revolution from 1776 and go to the American Legion to 2018. So I covered off the entire history of the United States. I'll start with the Sons of the American Revolution. In representing the patriots that founded this country in 1776, you know, the patriots that fought with George Washington, the founding fathers, signed the Declaration of Independence. I'd like to present you with this certificate of recognition of the National Society of Sons of the American Revolution, award certificate to Morgan Bryant for his achievement and exceptional leadership. And also, in one of the folders, there's also a Chancellor Scholarship, so get that to me quickly. Okay. And then for the American Legion Post 9 in Brunswick, on behalf of the million members of the American Legion who are out there now, good citizenship citation for Morgan Bryant to 207 for your who's obtained rank of Eagle Scout by the American Legion Post 9, Betty Williams, Commander. And I'd like to say that I'm Eagle 77, so I got to know with Mr. Rowe. And then also, from our time Boy Scout, I had 47 years in as a scout. So it's always to continue your work in scouting. Thank you very much.
Miss Ann Bryant, grandmother to Morgan.
When Morgan passed his Eagle Review Board, I started a letter writing campaign. Everyone I could think of that mattered. And we now have letters from Senator Isaacson from Georgia, State Senator William Ligon, the Glenn County Schools, and for now, that's what we have. So I'm hoping there'll be more, but the election kind of messed up everything. And so I'm going to read the letter from State Senator Ligon and the Glenn County School Board. Dear Morgan, I would like to personally congratulate you on earning the rank of Eagle Scout in Boy Scout Troop 207. This is quite an accomplishment of which you should be very proud. You are among a select few that have achieved this impressive award, recognizing young leaders who show outstanding initiative, courage, and resourcefulness. Thank you for making on this Thank you for taking on this challenge to dedicate your life and service to your community and to our country. Boy Scouts of America is an outstanding organization. By achieving the rank of Eagle Scout, you have developed leadership skills and tremendous character traits that will remain with you for your life. I know your Scout leaders, family, and friends are proud of your hard work and dedication to this extremely enriching program. I am inspired by your perseverance and dedication, your commitment to community, your leadership abilities, and your overall determination in becoming the best person you can be. It is my privilege to represent young individuals of your caliber. Congratulations again, and I wish you much success in your future endeavors. Please do not hesitate to call on me if I can ever be of assistance. William T. Ligon, Jr. From the Glenn County Schools, dear Morgan, on behalf of the Glenn County School System, I would like to extend our warm congratulations to you on earning the Eagle Scout Award. Your willingness to go an extra mile in our community has not gone unnoticed, and we commend you for upholding the principles and values of public service for which your organization holds dear. Not every boy who joins a Boy Scout troop earns the Eagle Scout Award, but nevertheless, each Scout's contributions have a lasting impression on their community, organization, and all of those they encounter. We know what an honor it must be to see a goal like this finally come to fruition, and are certain your fellow Scouts are as proud of your achievement. While becoming an Eagle Scout is certainly not the end of your journey, it is a beginning of lifelong friendships, leadership, and a path in life we hope you will cherish into adulthood. We look forward to hearing more about the work you will do with Boy Scouts and wish you success in all your future endeavors. Dr. Virgil Cole, Superintendent of Schools.
But I want to thank you to you and Grandpa for getting those letters and for being there
FAIA Lead AP, Architect of the Capitol.
Okay, one last presentation for Morgan. Matt and Michelle, will you please come back up? I mismanaged the script a little while ago and skipped a step, so.
I don't believe you skipped a step, basically. We don't get hugs from our son too often, so it kind of really threw me off when we were up here before, because I intended on giving this to him at that time. Son, we wanted to give you a little token to remember your scouting journey. We're very proud of you as you climbed through the ranks. Yes, you did have some struggles as you went upward, but you stuck with it. You listened to the guidance not only from your parents, but also your friends, as well as other mentors. So we want to congratulate you and thank you. So we love you. We want to present you with this small little token. So on the bottom of it, it says, presented to Morgan Bryant in recognition of achieving the rank of Eagle Scout, October 4th, 2018. On my honor, I will do my best. And on the back, a small little note for Mom and Dad, for the proudest parents that son could have. Love, Dad, Mom.
To close out our ceremony today, we'd like to reflect on the point of Scout law, where the Scout is rebel. So, Morgan, before you leave this ceremony, will you please kneel where you are and in true Scout fashion, silently ask God to give you strength and courage to wear with distinction the honor and award which you now hold. I congratulate you as an Eagle Scout. The eagle soars high and seeks to rest only upon the lofty peaks. As an Eagle Scout, you too must soar high. You must not swerve from the path of duty. Your ideals must be lofty. You must strive to attain that which is the highest and noblest in life. I hereby close this Eagle Court of Honor and present to you Eagle Scout Morgan Bryant. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this boy, this young man. Thank you for what he's meant to this troop and our families and our community. We thank you for the good and solid young man he's become. And we lift him up to you, and we ask you to continue to help him to progress to full manhood. We're proud of him, and we love him. Thank you, Lord, for him. In Jesus' name we pray.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony today. Thank you for joining us in this very special occasion. Please join us for cake and other light refreshments in the theater lobby.